Ghent-Wevelgem is this weekend, Gregor, Sunday, March 28th. It is the second round of the Flanders Classics, all of which are available to our subscribers live and on demand in the US, Canada, and Australia. Gregor, remind me what happened in the opening round Omloop Het Nieuwsblad.
Well, everybody was up in a tizzy. I mean, we thought Deceuninck-Quickstep was going to lose. We thought Deceuninck-Quickstep was going to lose it. We had the crash there of Steebar. We had Alaphilippe's attack that didn't really work out, and then it just looked like it was going to be another team, a rival team, that was going to win this opening weekend, the cobbled race, Omloop Het Nieuwsblad. Instead, it was Davide Ballerini who pulled off the sprint with a massive, massive bunch coming into the finish in Ninove, the old Tour Flanders finish. And so that really gave us a flavor of these cobble classics that are coming up. A lot of weeks have passed already now, so things will have changed, but that really is a nice aperitif for what's coming up. It's exciting. I tell you, I got my plane ticket up there for Saturday. I'll be on the ground on Sunday, and just ahead of that, we have Ghent-Wevelgem and a lot of racing on the hills of Ghent-Wevelgem.
Definitely we need to note that we are going to be broadcasting not only the men's race, but the women's race. A reminder about the women's Omloop Het Nieuwsblad. It was won by Anna van der Breggen. The world champion, showed everybody why she is the world champion. She had been a little bit, maybe a little bit soft. She decided that 2021 is going to be the year that she retires. She is, not necessarily at a retirement age by any stretch of the imagination. She just seemed to be lacking a little bit of inspiration as a professional cyclist over the last couple years. That is not the case in 2021, though. She came in with the rainbow bands, soloed away to victory at Omloop Het Nieuwsblad, so she is certainly a force in the Flanders Classics to come. Let's look at what Ghent-Wevelgem is, what this race is all about, Gregor. I'm really jealous that you're going to be on the ground. I was there last in 2019, and I think that was maybe the first cobbled classic that I actually stood on the roadside and watched. And Ghent-Wevelgem is a tricky, technical race, and it was an eye-opening experience for me being there, seeing in person just how good these riders are at riding a bike. I remember pulling up and parking alongside of the course right as the peloton was coming by, and Pedersen was just locked on someone's wheel going through this cobbled corner. The roads are, not even a meter wide, and seeing Pedersen follow this guy at 25, 30K an hour through this narrow corner, ending up kind of off in a field to the side and keep going, and there was only a centimeter width between his front tire and the other rider's rear tire. It is just incredible watching these races and how good these riders are and how technical these roads are. You only get a little bit of that when you're watching it on TV.
I mean, we talked before about like Paris-Roubaix. If a race like that was introduced these days, the riders would probably protest, and you look at the road conditions around Flanders and what they have to deal with, the road furniture, those massive ditches that we see a lot of times on each side of the road. They're narrow roads. You got the Death Valley in the middle of these concrete slabs that you often see out there in Flanders. A lot of dangers are out there, and then also you have, of course, the competition. So it's definitely a place where if you can race in Flanders, you can race anywhere. You hone your bike handling skills if you're from the Flanders area, and if you want to make it in Flanders, you got to get up there and you got to race up there. And we've seen that Peter Sagan's done so well in this race over the years. But Michael, it's one of those races where for a lot of years, the sprinters always want to win this race, but then we see this big classic stars win this race, the hard men, so you're never quite sure how it's going to go. We have the Kemmelberg at around 35 kilometers out, and that's the last factor, but there's always the wins. There's always these little small groups that break up and splinter, so you don't know who's going to be doing the pulling. All sorts of things come into factor when we're racing Ghent-Wevelgem.
Exactly right, Gregor, and that's what makes this a really, really interesting race. For my money, it isn't as huge as Tour of Flanders. Tour of Flanders just has so many cobbled climbs. By the time the racers are within 50 kilometers of the finish, they're just destroyed. Ghent-Wevelgem, the crux of the race is really this finishing circuit. You mentioned the Kemmelberg. That is the main berg of Ghent-Wevelgem. They climb the Kemmelberg twice on this circuit. It's a circuit that has maybe 8 cobbled climbs in total. And then from the top of the Kemmelberg, the second time they go up it, it's a 35K, relatively non-technical, flat stretch of road to the finish. That is why sprinters go into Ghent-Wevelgem thinking that they have a chance, because the climbing is not as demanding as in the Tour of Flanders. So it is within a sprinter's wheelhouse to be able to win. What is troublesome for sprinters, though, is how technical this race is. You know, you mentioned the winds. Groups are always blowing up, stringing out through these narrow, twisty roads. It's one of the more cobbled. It is one of the more technical cobbled classics, so that means the positioning is just so crucial. Sprinters aren't surrounded by their teams because you simply can't have 5 riders protecting a sprinter on each team through these roads. There just isn't enough space, so sprinters really have to be self-sufficient a lot of times in Ghent-Wevelgem. And then the Kemmelberg is really, really hard. One of my favorite races ever, honestly, is Alexander Kristoff's 2019 win at Ghent-Wevelgem, because he was just so tactically astute. Alexander Kristoff looked around him in this reduced group, knew that he was probably the fastest finisher, but that he was not going to be able to make it over the Kemmelberg with the likes of Wout van Aert attacking him. So what did he do? He attacked 10K before the Kemmelberg, the second climb of the Kemmelberg. He attacked solo, got caught on the Kemmelberg, but that was his plan. He basically just needed a head start into that climb, was able to get caught, finish over the climb with that lead group, and then he went to the finish with the lead group and won, just giving himself that head start into the Kemmelberg. Is the kind of tactics that sprinters need to carry into Ghent-Wevelgem if they are going to win it.